Yes. Oh, you know what that sound means? Coming in the paddock F1, Greeny and the Cheese. Round 4 of the Formula One traveling circus has its return to the Middle East. For only 263 miles as the Pro flies, where we will end the season. We're not talking about end of the season. It's round 4, baby. It's the Bahrain Grand Prix, the Kingdom of Bahrain. It's known as the Island of Pearls for the pearl farming industry. It's also the grove of date palm trees. And Bahrain is also a major financial center for the region there of the Middle East. How about that? Did you know that?
A lot of money going through Bahrain, that's damn sure.
This ain't no travel show, this is an F1 show, and we are 11 miles from the capital of Manama on that old camel farm. We're racing the Bahrain International Circuit, 3.36 miles, 3 DRS zones, 15 corners. You give it the full beans for 71% of your lap, and oh, boys and girls, did we ever get a way better race than we did last week in Japan. We got excitement. We had passing. We had strategy. A safety car that rattled everybody's strategy. Oscar had pole, but he drove an absolutely just brilliant race. Let's just be honest. For the first repeat winner of the season, Russell takes second. Maybe we'll see what happens with that. We'll get into that later. Norris takes third to round out the podium. For now, we are caffeinated. We are medicated. Greeny, good day, sir.
Good day. Yeah, the race just ended moments ago, so we're jumping on right after the race here for you guys, which means...
Hot take, baby.
Which means things might change. A lot of penalties handed out today. Stewards were very, very busy as they... a lot of guys going off tracks, a lot of 4 tires off tracks there, a lot of questionable passing. We started the race off immediately with Lando Norris jumping the gun there, getting that 5-second penalty in that first pit stop. So yeah, man, really, really exciting day, interesting day, but a lot of penalties going on. So things could change. Mercedes, I was actually holding out the betting. We ended up placing our bets right before the race. We'll get to that in a little bit because of that Q2 situation with Mercedes, which they didn't get penalized for, I believe. Which
yeah,
I thought
they got a grid. They each got a grid place.
A great place. So
that's why Russell's not on the front row.
Yes. So I apologize. So they both got penalized for that, and we'll get into Kimi Antonelli a little bit, but he finally showed his rookie his rookie wings there, if we could say it that way. Having some trouble today, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But the Oscar Piastri in his 50th career start, his 4th career win. McLaren having now out to a huge advantage over Mercedes, running away early on the season with the Constructors' title, and making it interesting as we have a bunch at the top. Lando Norris still in the lead at the moment in the Drivers' Championship, but Lando Norris is creeping up. Oscar Piastri is creeping up right behind Lando Norris. You still have Max Verstappen in the mix, who made that great pass at the end on Pierre Gasly in lap 57 to at least get some more points on the board, desperately needed for him if he wants to stay in contention against McLaren this year. And he had a double points finish for Red Bull. But the story of the day is, of course, McLaren and what they've done all weekend long. It was a papaya day for sure. I believe for McLaren's first ever win in Bahrain. So Good for them. Good for the whole team. You got another race right. You got to turn it right around, but at least you're not traveling across the world as you were from Japan to Bahrain. That's a heck of a turnaround for them. So it'll be a little easier heading into Saudi. But triple headers are always tough, and it's starting to show a little bit with the rookies today, except for one rookie, which we'll get into a little bit, who actually got in the points. But the rookies having a tough day overall, and I think that's just the wear and tear of the back-to-back weeks. We'll see what happens next week with the 3 in a row, but it is a lot of wear and tear on these guys. And you can see, more experienced drivers like Lewis Hamilton, who just, at one point owned this track. Just showing. But, what's crazy about F1 this year is you have teenagers driving with middle-aged men. And it is just incredible to see the variety. It's incredible to see the age difference. It's incredible to see the skill difference. It's all around been an incredible season so far. And despite the boring race we had last week in Japan, hopefully the season will look more like this than it did in Japan. What are your thoughts on what should have been a McLaren 1-2 today? Let's be honest.
Lando just made too many mistakes, and that's not somebody I would put my money on to win the driver's title. Right now, if I was to make a bold prediction, I'd put Oscar Piastri in that seat right now. Just way more mature. He doesn't make this stupid mistake. To not know where you are to start the race, like that's amateur hour. That's amateur hour. Let's be honest. Some of the passing Lando was trying to make, he even said after, like, he made too many mistakes. Those were like rookie mistakes that somebody who wants to win the driver's title cannot make. Doesn't matter, it's early and you might be in the superior car, but your teammate's also superior car and he doesn't make those mistakes.
Yeah, I wonder if after this race, and I think if I was in Vegas right now making lines, I'd be changing my favorite for the year, and that would probably be Oscar Piastri at this point to be the favorite to win the Drivers' Championship over Lando Norris, who was the favorite before. But after today, and Oscar's second win of the year, almost became, if Lando Norris finished fourth, I believe he would have been the first Australian driver since Mark Webber to lead at any point.
Right.
The Formula One Drivers' Championship. So damn good for him. And of course, damn good. While we're speaking of that, of course, jump on the YouTube, check us out. In the Paddock F1. You just type in the Paddock F1 in the search box. We'll pop right up. Join us over there. Thank you for everyone who's been just commenting and replying and emailing. If you want to email the show, inthepaddockusa@gmail.com, inthepaddockusa@gmail.com. And of course, go to that YouTube. Check us out there. We want to get as many people involved as possible. And subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe. Our goal by this season is to get over that 1,000 mark for subscribers on YouTube. We can do it. We can do it. And we can do it with your help. So hit that subscribe button, jump on the YouTube, and thank you for all listening and all your support so far this season. So yeah, Lando Norris, that's probably the biggest story of the week, unfortunately. It's going to be going into Saudi, is going to be Lando Norris is just taking a step back. And can he take a step forward in the triple header? Triple headers are always tough. And is this a back-to-back week thing for Lando Norris? That we're going to see consistently, because if Lando doesn't finish in top 5 next week, if he's off podium next week again, this could be just the physicalness of the week. I think Kimi Antonelli played a part of it.
He's not a rookie anymore.
See it in him.
He's not a rookie anymore. That shouldn't be affecting him. I mean, you've been in Formula One long enough to know what you have to do to get your body in shape. I mean, wasn't the old video for people who know the NFL, Bill Parcells? That's why you lift those damn weights. That's why you do all that shit in the off season. That's why you do that shit. That's why you lift the damn weights. That's why you keep yourself in shape. That's why you're riding an exercise cycle in a sauna to get ready for certain conditions and races. I mean, this is what these guys do. So that should not be an excuse by this point, especially in Lando's career. And you can't be making those mistakes if you want to win a driver's title. Bottom line. That will come back to haunt you.
100%. And we see it every single season. If you watch Formula One long enough, you see it every single season where you have the one or two races that puts you in a situation to not be competitive in the fall when you should or could be competitive in the fall. And I think we're seeing that with Oscar Piastri in a couple races here, because if some situations were different with his start of the season, he could be in first already. With Oscar.
He didn't have, he didn't, when it started raining and they were all out on slicks and, the car just, that could have happened to anybody. What happened to Oscar, So
Mhm.
but he kept the car going. He kept the car going. He didn't beach it, which a lot of people would have beached it. A lot of people would have been stuck, and that would have been it. But he kept it going, and he came back for them. But then the next week, I told you the next week he was going to come back because he was pissed as hell, and he came back and he dominated in China. So Oscar's showing way more maturity than Lando, and Lando's been in Formula One long enough that he shouldn't be showing that. I mean, that just to start there, that is, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, and it
That's bad. That's
takes me
bad.
back a little bit to the fall where Oscar Piastri, and we criticize Oscar extensively on this program, that he said he's the number one driver for McLaren, not Lando Norris, and he was pretty adamant and serious about that, and we kind of scoffed at it, but Lando was Oscar was probably seeing some things behind the scenes that obviously we don't see that made him make that comment, because that's a harsh comment to make. I mean, that's like, you telling me or me telling you how much better I am than you or you than me or any pairing of anything. It's not something that you would casually say or not have repercussion for. And the fact that Oscar's come out so strong this year and is putting himself in a position, and we'll see what happens, a triple header. I mean, you don't get too many triple headers in your career in Formula One. So we will see what happens next week. It would be very telling between these two drivers who can have that, as you said, endurance and ability to do what you need to do between races to prepare you for week to week. Is Lando going to do it better than Oscar? Is he going to come back like pissed like Oscar was after losing in Australia? Or is Lando just going to be complacent and let Oscar take this thing? And I think next week is going to be huge for this McLaren team.
I completely agree with that. You want to be the guy leading when you get to a certain point of the season, so then everything goes, push you to win the title. So you got to get to that point. But you definitely don't want to be the trailing driver. You want to be the guy in front. So yeah, Lando said he's not really looking at the standings or anything at this point. You know what? Maybe he should, because if you want to be the guy, then you got to be the guy.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for Lando's false start as well, it might be a different story that we're having right now. But that false start definitely compounded the issues that he's having.
Well, then he just compounded it for the rest of the race. I mean, he compounded it. He made other mistakes during the race that you can't do if you want to win the driver's title. I mean, he could have easily finished second. It should have been a 1-2.
Should have been a 1-2.
Period. But there was too many mistakes that he made.
Should have absolutely been a McLaren 1-2. He
compounded it with other mistakes throughout the race. I mean, within the first, pit stop or so, I mean, leading into the second stops, Lando had basically made up that 5 second from the start. So his mistakes from then on are the reason why there wasn't a 1-2. Because he could have should have been a 1-2. Easy, bottom line. Especially with Russell having all those issues there late in the race with the electrical issues with the car. So I mean, yeah, I mean they might end up getting the 1-2 if we'll see what they make a decision with Russell using the DRS in a non-DRS area.
Mm-hmm.
When they were having those all the issues with the car, but we'll see what they say about that. But I mean, then it could be a 1-2, but as of right now, it's not. Wasn't a 1-2, and it should have been.
Stewart's had a busy day, man.
Busy day.
Busy day. Well, that takes us, of course, strapping on the helmet ourselves here, jumping in the car, taking a lap around. Sir, I know you got ready to go here. You got your 3 questions ready. It's Quizmaster's Cockpit. By the way, I won last week for the first time in a year. I am 7-9 overall in the Quizmaster's Cockpit this season. Am I going to go 3 for 3? 0 for 3? I guess we're going to find out. Whatever's in your melon there. Let's strap on that helmet, take a ride around the track. It's Quizmaster's Cockpit.
I don't think you got a chance for all three of this week.
All right.
Well, I don't think so. If anything, I think question 3 will stump you. But here we go. Are you prepared and ready, sir?
I prepared as I could possibly be.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. Who won the first Grand Prix held in Bahrain?
The man who won the first Grand Prix, who we have some news on a little bit later, I believe that's Michael Schumacher won the first.
That is
Bahrain.
correct.
And his only win at Bahrain in the Ferrari. I believe that was 2004.
That is correct, sir.
Bing!
It's off to a good start. Question 2.
It's always nice to not be wrecked out like right at the start.
Right
here.
off the bat, yes it is. It's definitely nice to have at least one. Get one on the board. Question number 2. Who won their first Bahrain Grand Prix in 2014 after a famous wheel-to-wheel battle?
Pretty sure it's Lewis Hamilton.
That is correct.
Ooh! Ooh! Now I'm starting to sweat.
Oh, bonus, it doesn't matter. Who was the battle? Who was the wheel-to-wheel battle with that win?
Oh, now it's getting intense. Now it's getting intense. It's 3. Oh, was it Nico? Who was it against?
That is right. That is correct.
It was Nico.
Doesn't matter. That was not question 3.
Oh,
question
man.
number 3. In 2010, the Grand Prix in Bahrain used a different track layout. What was the name of this extended layout?
It feels like I'm on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire right now. With this music going. Can I call a friend? Can I phone a friend?
So phone a friend.
It escapes me. I completely forget. I know there was no race in 2011, but 2010, I have no recollection of what that was called.
Called the Endurance Circuit.
That's right. Oh my gosh. That's right. Damn it. Got a little hot there. Got a little too intense there. I tried my best. Once again, 2 out of 3. I'm 9-12 on the season. That's not a terrible record.
That's not a bad start.
Not a
Way
bad
better
start.
Than normal.
The endurance. How could I forget the endurance track? That was a classic back in 2010. But you know what happens? Either you get them all right, or you suck it.
You suck it. So that means you're a loser. So
let's start with losers. Who you got for your losers today? There's plenty out there.
Oh, there's plenty out there this week. Lawson. I mean, he's got to settle in better than this quick. I mean, you can't be finishing behind your teammate again, especially when you're after your demotion like that. That just can't happen. That's bad. That's bad news. Maybe his confidence is completely shot now at this point.
Yeah, and I thought for a minute there Lawson was going to finish in front of Hajar. Hajar had a good weekend going up until the race, and he had a rough day today. But yeah, Liam Lawson's got to do better than that.
Aston Martin, 16th and 18th. I mean, that is crap. That is crap. I mean, then they screwed up Lance Stroll's setup before qualifying. That's bad. That's bad enough. Mm-hmm. You follow that up with a 16th and an 18th with your 2 drivers.
And this is a team last year, by the way, in Bahrain that was double points. They were double points last year.
They were double. Yeah,
they were double points in Bahrain last year.
With this car, because this car must be absolute trash. That Fernando's finishing that bad as well. So that's a mess. That's a mess over there at Aston right now. Those will be my losers.
Yeah, Fernando's looking just terrible this season. I mean, Aston Martin was my number one loser of the week, so you got that one on me. So was Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll as well, specifically. But Kimi Antonelli, I don't know what Mercedes was thinking having that second early pit stop. He pitted 3 times in the first 32 laps. I don't know what was going on with Merck today. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if there was something wrong with the car. I don't know what was going on there, but
maybe he was just cooking his tires up, man.
Potentially, and everyone knows if you know this track well enough. First of all, the track's never been refinished. So it's 2004, and this track has never been refinished. And it is just
tires.
A track that just eats tires up. And listen, you can't beat up Kimi Antonelli too much, but after the start he had and the really great start he had, you got to take a step back. And if you're going to take a step back, this is the track to do it on, where your tires just get eaten to death. Who do I got? Well, most of my potential losers kind of came out of it, but Williams was my pick for 5th this year, and they kind of showed today. Obviously, Carlos Sainz looked great, or really good all weekend, and then having that situation, with his side pod coming completely off. The only driver to not finish the race today was Carlos Sainz. Not his fault. But, yeah.
That's bad. Your side pod can't come flying apart. That's not good.
Not good. This is not good when chunks of your car are coming off.
That's not good.
And I'm going to add another loser in there, and that's whatever tech team was going on. I don't know if it was Sky Sports. I know the transponder, George Russell's transponder stopped working. They had and they were putting up fake statistics. You could see if you were watching the left side of your screen, if you were watching the Sky Sports feed, or here in the U.S., the ESPN, rebroadcasting of it, that the times weren't changing. They were frozen, and then they would redo the times because someone was frantically typing somewhere in the back there. It's frantic speed, just updating the stats by hand. We're going back to the 70s today, okay? We should have had a bunch of guys with stopwatches back there in the back, writing this stuff down by hand because something wasn't working. Something wasn't working. And it got even worse. We'll get to that. Bahrain, it was kind of a mess. It was kind of a mess today on that track, on the broadcast, on the tech side of things. I don't know what was going on. But yeah, that's definitely another loser. This, of course, brings us right to winners.
Pierre Gasly. Winning the points for Alpine.
Finally.
All teams now have points after that. So, it's a great drive from Gasly. I mean, it threw it up there pretty high up there in quality too. So, that was a really good drive. Really good drive. Maybe we'll see a little turnaround coming from Alpine here. Duhan had a pretty good race there until late. So
I thought he was going to get points there.
He was looking like he was possibly in the points. So Alpine definitely looked way better than they have in the last few races. We haven't spoke about them, but I'm going to say it right now. Ferrari, 4th, 5th, maybe a 3rd, 5th coming here, depending on the what happens with Russell, but. Big turnaround. Car's not anywhere near where they want it. Both drivers have said it. So, but to get it up there, 4th, 5th, had the strategy. If the safety car didn't come out, they might have actually finished higher because the strategy was to be playing into their hands at that point. I think they were probably going medium, soft there, but because that safety car, you have to take advantage. I mean, they went to the hard tire, which just wasn't the tire. It probably should have possibly went to the softs to end the race as well, but way improved from Ferrari, even on the strategy side too. That was usually they've been dropping the ball recently, and they didn't drop the ball this week. So kudos.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was top to bottom this week. I'll give it to Ferrari from behind the scenes to the drivers themselves. And Lewis Hamilton, as I said earlier, kind of at one point owned this track. I think he's got the most wins ever, 5, I believe. on this track. No one's better than him on this track. At the same time, how hard were you rooting for Lando Norris and George Russell to collide on lap 57 to give your Ferraris a 2-3 and a double podium? Because they came close. They came really close to crashing each other out there on lap 57. And that would have been a heck of a way to get a double podium for Ferrari. You may get one podium spot. We'll see in the next hour or two here. But, yeah, way to go Ferrari, man. Especially just after that rough start, back-to-back weeks in double points. And it's about damn time. And that's what you want to see with Ferrari every week.
Those will be my winners.
Well, first of all, I'm going to separate my Haas because Ollie Bearman absolutely needs his own spot today. Yeah. Not many drivers, if you look back historically, especially with one DNF, to have a dead last start into a points. That's reserved for kind of like a Max Verstappen situation, or that's considered for like a Ferrari or a Red Bull or a McLaren who having just a situation in quality where they have to start dead last, or an engine change or something like that, which would start them last and scoring points. You don't expect that from a Haas. Not at all. So Ollie Bearman's just well beyond his years already. I think he's only got, it's 10th career race or something like that. And he's scored points now, 8 of his first 10 races or 7 of his first 9 races, something like that. The guy scores, whether it's a point or not. A point is a point, and top 10 is top 10, especially when you're starting dead last, especially starting dead last in a Haas. And Esteban Ocon, after that terrible crash in Q2, to come back and finish, he finished 7th? 8th, I apologize, today. So how do you not give it up to him? Man, you really, when you crash out like that, an unforced error like that on Esteban Ocon, you usually don't come back the next day. You usually don't come back, especially when you're a mid-pack team. But for a dead last start and a Q2 crash out to a double point situation is just an unbelievable day for Haas. I mean, I'm not just coming from a Haas fan myself and someone who roots and supports for this team, but just in general, a fantastic, fantastic day after a poor weekend, right? You expect having a good weekend and then scoring double points. You don't expect to have a poor weekend going into the race and then getting double points. So kudos to them, and kudos to Ayo Komatsu, who's just turned this team around over the last 16 months on the job now. And we all said it. I think everyone in the F1 world said it, mostly because of his popularity. But Gunther Steiner, leaving, everyone thought that it would be a step back for Haas, and it's been a major step forward for Haas. So what a great move by Gene Haas, 16, 18 months ago, making that decision on Gunther Steiner and sticking with it and sticking with Ayo Komatsu, having a rough year last year, and just scoring a lot of points, man. Ollie's got as many points as he had all last season already through 4 races. So got to give it up to them. And Esteban Ocon has fit in pretty well with the team. We're really worried about his arrogance and his attitude coming in, and he's fit in pretty damn well. So I'm giving Haas a double winner for a double points. I'm sure there's other winners out there, but I'm sticking with them because they don't get to do that very often. And I may not get to do that at all for the rest of the season. So, which of course, sir, brings us to the most important part of the week.
I need to slap my goddamn for that.
And that's, of course, the slap. A
Giving
lot
it
of
to you
slaps
this
to go.
week, sir.
I don't think there's enough sand in the desert to slap the nonsense that went on. And it wasn't the drivers, because you ended up with only one DNF, which, as we mentioned before with Carlos Sainz, but you just had a mess of a day, man. As from the tech side of things, and the worst part about it, I don't know who it is, so I don't know who's getting slapped, so we got to slap a lot of people here. But the exit light for Red Bull, that was completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. I know the second pit stop for Max, they had the front right tire issue, taking off the hard. So I get that long pit stop. I think it was like a 6.5-second pit stop, which is insane for Red Bull. But that first pit stop with that light not working, they're taking the light off, they're taking it on, it's staying red. Like Max released on a red. So technically, that should be a penalty of some sort. Obviously, they're not going to give it to him because it's a tech error, but that could have been a penalty. So Max has to make the decision. And what's even worse, my number one thing, which I always talk about, is safety. Because Max doesn't know who's coming down the pit lane. He doesn't know who's being released. He doesn't know who's walking around out there. That's why the light turns green. So the driver knows. The driver can't turn. Max can't turn his head around and see what's going on, who's coming down the pit lane, who's going back on track. So you have to rely on that light. And if that light's not working, I mean, you're amateur hour. This isn't karting, okay? This is the big leagues. So very disappointing. Very disappointing from the tech side. Forget about all the other tech issues. This was a very big safety issue. And it could have been another, someone from another pit team on the track standing there. It could have been a lot of different reasons why that light was still red. And he had to go on the red. And he had no choice. And that could have been disastrous if there was a car coming down, if there was red was for a reason. That just pisses me off, man. So slap yourself, whoever that is. I will find out who you are for next week. I will absolutely find out your name. I want your name. Who screwed this up? That was a bad screw up.
Sand. Get some sand in that slap, too.
Whole
Get the
desert
extra
full.
sting.
Whole desert full. Could have killed somebody out there. But of course, takes us to an even more important part of the week.
Oh, yes, it's the best damn part of the week. Time to take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island of Greentown, where the beer flows like wine, the wine flows like beer. The cannabis, oh yes, my friends, it grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it out there. Look at it. Green M. Take a little whiff. That air smells
Fantastic.
Take a little walk to the top of the hill. To the seat at the top. Tickets in hand. Are we cashing in or are we checking out? Bad effing weekend again.
Once again, man. And listen, for the first time all season, I think Vegas was finally screwing with us and putting a lot of negative lines on the board, more so than we've seen all season long. We had some weeks where we had a lot of plus lines. This week was not one of them. We both were pretty confident in both Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, which that was some false confidence right there by both of us.
It was.
Because, listen, the pole sitter has won 4 straight races this season, so obviously we should have been thinking Oscar Piastri. Vegas definitely had him in negative 275, so you're not touching that. So, of course, you're going to try to go for Max on podium, as you did, plus 285. Max top 4, plus 125. Neither of those happened. Lando Norris, big time, plus 550 for the win. But he didn't do that. But that was like almost a no-brainer. You got to put something down on that plus 550. I had Red Bull double top 6. That was a plus 700. That actually didn't come as far off as I expected it at a plus 700 with Yuki Tsunoda and Max Verstappen both finishing in the top 10. Yuki getting his first points with Red Bull, but not finishing in the top 6. And I lost on Alpine with double top 10, but I don't think I was that far off on that one. That was a bold pick for me, I think, with the double top 10 for Alpine. And they just look good. They just look much better. They must have had to do something. They had to bring upgrades, and because they've just been terrible. They've been terrible. They're finally, like you said earlier, on the board, finally with points. The last team in Formula One to put points on the board. And hopefully for the Alpine and Alpine fans that this is not the last time this season that they have a good showing like that. Obviously, Pierre Gasly got passed at the very end there, but still finished 6th. And, Duhan almost... He was up there in the top 10 almost the whole race until the very end. So, even though they were losers, all our picks were losers, but not as far off. Which
It
takes
don't
us,
matter if
but
you're
we made light bets.
Close don't gosh darn matter.
Close don't count. This ain't horseshoes and this ain't hand grenades. Close don't count.
Don't count.
All right, sir. That brings us to the final segment of the day. And that is, of course, in the news. In the news.
Right, we got a few for you here.
Not much.
The F1 game is coming out the end of May. Are
Finally.
you excited? Are you excited?
Finally, listen, excited every year for the new F1 game. They just do a fantastic job. EA and the team over there just do an absolutely fantastic job. It looks more and more.
I would beg to differ, but there's a lot they could do. So we'll see. They got some new things going this year because the last few years have been a little stagnant.
I understand the stagnant, but just overall, the way the track feels and looks, the way they put the feel together of driving. Obviously, yes, they can make major improvements. They could do things differently. You're a big guy with the franchise mode. I know there's about 1 million improvements that you could probably write to the company to make changes to make it better, for sure. But overall, just the Formula One games, just gaming in general, sports gaming in general, just looks fantastic. The graphics, the feel, all looks fantastic. Obviously, there could be a lot of improvements made. But what would be the number one improvement you would make right now? If the developers of this game are listening, what would you tell them?
Well, it's definitely the buy team, but they made some changes this year, so we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I'm a little unhappy that you're not going to have your owner/driver character. It's just going to be an owner. Then you're going to pick 2 drivers to drive for your team. So you're not going to have that like investment of you also being the driver and owner. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. End of May, though. End of May. Carlos is getting fined because he was a cussing. He had cussing Carlos this week. Do you think Formula One should be fining him or just let him freaking roll?
We had the same conversation last year when Max did it and got fined. We've had some cursing drivers for sure in that room. It's a tough one. You know, this isn't like kids sitting around watching these press conferences, right? Like, you're not dealing with children here. But at the same time, you know, depending on where you are, you're in different countries all the time, and different countries have different opinions on cussing. Mm-hmm. You know, here in the U.S., you can, when we get to Miami in a few weeks, you cuss up a storm. No one here is going to care. But maybe Bahrain, Japan, China, for sure, they could have a different attitude on the swearing, and you're always in a host country. The thing about Formula One is you're a nomad with Formula One. So you're at the discretion of the country you're going to. And listen, F1's very lucky to have 24 different, you know, racetracks that want to host, and probably another 4 or 5 more that would love to host as well that aren't hosting right now. So you do have that. But at the same time, you are at the mercy of your host. And if it's pissing off the host and pissing off the sponsors and upsetting them that you're cursing, you're going to get fined. That's it. The FIA is embedded to the host countries.
That's fair. That's fair.
But in my opinion, drop those bombs, baby. If you got to do what you got to do. When the car's shit, the car's shit. You got to tell them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that part for sure. Our last piece of for news this week: Jackie Stewart out there. What was he, like 86 now?
I think 83,
out there,
something like that. He's in his 80s.
Out there driving a 73 Tyrrell around the track there at Bahrain. Helmet was actually signed by every surviving winner of a world championship in Formula One. Even Michael Schumacher signed the helmet. How about that?
Unbelievable. I thought we would see Schumi, and that didn't happen. Obviously, his wife had to help him sign. We haven't seen Michael Schumacher since, I believe, 2013. So it's been 12 years since his skiing accident since we've seen him. And if he doesn't want to be seen, I get that. The Jackie Stewart thing, unbelievable. That's definitely the last time he's going to be in a Formula One vehicle going around the track. That's according to him, not me. It took a lot to get him in that car, but he did it. Unbelievable. Just really amazing to see. That's the hardest thing in Formula One, having the legends come back and driving around the track. And it's always amazing in any sport to see the legends coming back like that. And taking one more shot, just for fun. And obviously the helmet was signed by, I don't even know how many people signed that helmet, but it's going to go for charity. It's going to go for a lot of money. It's going to go for a very good cause. So got to give it up for them for that. And again, just everyone being there, just the presence of even having Michael Schumacher news to just go with the Jackie Stewart situation is just great. It's great. It's great to hear that he's still among the living and being able to do these things. And, obviously we'd love to see Michael Schumacher in full health and as best as he possibly can, but we know that's not going to happen. And long live Jackie Stewart.
Absolutely, for sure. 100%. Sir Jackie. Man's a legend.
Got anything else for us, sir?
That is all the news. We only had a week, so it wasn't so much.
We only had a couple days here in between, and we only had a couple more days in between of our triple header here. We mentioned it several times in the program, but sir, where are we going next?
We are heading to Saudi Arabia. We're going to Jeddah, baby.
More sand.
Fast street circuit. Good times.
We're heading west. Heading west, but staying in the Middle East. Another week here before we, I believe we're going 3 weeks to coming to the U.S., coming here to Miami. We have to race after Saudi, 2 weeks after. So we'll get that as well. But the third leg of the triple header should be damn interesting. We had a great week this week in Bahrain. Way better than Japan, and we hope to keep it up, man. Keep it going. Keep these great competitive races going, because that's what we need.
Jeddah's a pretty fun circuit, so it's fast.
Jeddah's always a fun
Super
circuit.
Fast.
Super fast.
Hopefully we get another good one.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting with the rookies in Jeddah, because, listen, at one point, this whole field was rookie in Jeddah, right? Because it's not that old of a track. But the experience that these drivers have had.
Rookie is not a rookie at Jeddah, so.
Yes. Ali raced Jeddah, right?
He did race it.
Ali raced Jeddah. Yeah. So he's the only one. So there's 5 drivers coming out. So a quarter of the field has never raced this track before. So it should be interesting. All right, sir. As always, say what you got to say.
Always stay medicated, my friends.
We will see you next week. Thanks for joining. Check out the YouTube. Send us an email. Get involved in the program. We love hearing from our fans. We love hearing from anyone who likes us, hates us, or anything in between. So feel free to reach out to the show. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.